Alrighty, hello friends, how's it going? Good evening. Let's see who is here. Colin, hola. Captain Mal, hello. Fede, hola, hola. Rue. Alps party tonight. Sahas, hello. Let's see. I never reloaded, hello. Hope you don't run out of ammo. William, hello. How's it going? Hope everybody is doing well. So tonight we're gonna be trying out some Alps. So just a continuation to the Seal80 exploration that we have started last stream, last week. Do you know if there's plans for the Seal in 60? At the moment, I'm not sure. I don't think they've actually run any 60s, now that I think about it. They've done a full size. They've done this TKL. They did a 65% called Smoke 65 or something like that. Oh, they did do, apparently, there is a Sensy Lab 60% called Sentry 60, which was like Hall effect, kind of like Wu-Ting kind of switch, kind of very different kind of design. Very, very loud. And then, but nothing like the Seal, like design language in 60%. So I guess not yet. Maybe later. Who knows? I don't see any other designs done for that though. I dig the design on the back on the Seal, but only use 60. That's fair. Yeah, I like the design too. It's like simple, but it has nice little nods to like, you know, like the Chinese seal thing and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. All right, so let's get started. So nothing to undo here. So this is the build from last time. You saw it last time. Oops. But this is the Space Invader, linear Space Invader build. So if you wanna recall, take out a keycap. Hopefully I don't pull the. Hopefully I don't pull the I pulled the slider. I pulled the slider. Okay. I'm still not too good at this Space Invader thing. But yeah, Space Invader switches. This was what we did last time. Linear Space Invaders. It didn't sound too good. We kind of felt like I think the consensus, like in the chat in general, was the FR4 plate kind of seems to detract from the sound and feel. I guess mostly the sound really for these. So it kind of ended up sounding very thin, and you know, it's possible that it's possible that SI doesn't sound too good on this particular board, but I think the overall conclusion was that we would have maybe benefited from the plate being a metal plate, like an alu plate, or actually even like a carbon fiber plate would do, because it would kind of bring up the sound, the volume a little bit. And then or also a like a stainless steel plate. So I did look into trying to get a plate for this, but in the interest of time, relative to the group by period, which I think ends at the end of the month, it's like April 24th or something like that. If I ordered a plate to be made, you know, somehow now, it's barely cutting it. So I wasn't sure I was gonna make it, so I was like, okay, you know what? There are probably creators who are doing this Seal80 build with MX stuff, so I think the MX stuff is covered. So I don't think I'm gonna focus on doing an MX build at all, but I do want to kind of like get a few, you know, a little bit more of the gamut. So I was like, well, I do have a PCB that is Alps compatible, so you know, the plan was to do some clicky Alps. What I can do later on, if there's time, is that I'm gonna desolder this one and I'm gonna reuse the PCB to do a clicky SI build. So ideally, we would be doing that for a clicky build, like a clicky SI build, but also using the FR4 plate and hope that it sounds better. But the clicky Alps should give us a pretty okay, I would say, like litmus test for what FR4 plate with clickies would sound like. I think I was talking to Max the other day, and or today rather, and he said, you should provide a good comparison of case materials, because apparently Black Simon is doing a build with PC, a polycarb seal with SKCM blues as well, so it should be a good reference point for comparison with the build that I do today. And then I believe Sergeant Finley also did build with Alps, but I think he used SKCL linears. It's my guess. So yeah. But yeah, damn, I missed that stream. Oh yeah. That's the most recent VOD for streams, so you'll see it there. And if you look it up on YouTube, it should have like some timestamps, so the typing and whatnot. So Lamau, this keyboard is such a piece of shit. The base plate will not come off. It is loose everywhere, but will not come off no matter what. Spent 2 days so far on this nonsense. Wait, which pasta is this? Is this new? Is this a new pasta? Awesome. All right. So let's get started right away. So Alps is pretty similar to SI in the sense that you kind of have plate mounted stabilizers. Actually, well, yeah, I guess plate mounted stabilizers is correct. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna put on some switches to keep the plate and the PCB apart. Kind of like relatively an equidistant form, and then I'm gonna install the stab stuff, test the stabs, and then we're gonna build the rest and solder everything up. Diego, do you not see the white name that drilled their #2 backplate? No. Is this a new key called build problem post, or? Okay, I'll look. Oh, I found the pasta. So for the #2, if you strip or can't get one of the base plate screws out and the base plate won't come off, you're just SOL. None of these will fit into this tiny hole, Lamau, about the extractor said. They drilled a hole on their base plate. The bottom right one was stripped, so I drilled through it to get it out. All 7 other screws are fine, but the base plate won't detach. It's stuck somewhere. The entire bottom is out, like I can pull it and it comes off. The top half is stuck, but all top 4 screws are out. Blah, 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 blah. Bottom half of base plate is off. Top half will not come out. Have you considered drilling the rest of the screws out? Oh, I love Rick. I would if there was a way to reattach it after. Okay. I stripped the bottom, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Turns out, oh my god. So turns out I put 2 screws into 1 hole by accident when building. So I drilled a hole in the base plate for nothing. Do I win the worst builder of all time award for the server? Mick, I'm genuinely confused how this was possible, or am I misunderstanding? When you initially built it, you put 2 screws in 1 hole? Yes, when you put the 2mm screws in before putting the case top on. Oh my god. And then Pears drew out a wonderful, almost comic-like drawing. Let me see if I can link it here in the chat. Oh, I unplugged my keyboard, which is why I can't alt tab for shit. Let me show you. Oh my god, that is so funny. There it is. And they drilled through the base plate. There's straight up a hole. Let me see if I can find the picture again. Oh no. Oh Jesus. Oh damn. Well, that's something. That's a first. I've I've never seen someone do that. Oh my god. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Everyone does oopsies when building, but getting a number 2 and then not looking at the build guide, yeah, it will lead to problems, I would say. Damn. It's no longer customs drilling through boards. It's now hobbyist too. Yep. I can see that now. Damn. That's wild. Oh, so here's SKCM Blue Alps. How they sound. Nice crispy, clicky switch. These are in pretty good shape. The click is pretty pronounced and pretty crisp sounding. So I am kind of excited to see what this sounds like. It's called the Holy Mod. Nice. Nice. Very good. Very good, very good. Keep the puns coming. Anyway, hope you guys have been well. I've been like, honestly, just like slammed between just a bunch of stuff going on. Well, I'm like mostly like just life things and like I guess work too, because as you very well know, my work situation is complicated and I just have a lot more work. We picked up a new like contract and so it got busy again. But yeah, that's been going okay actually. I actually am having more fun because there's like work to do, like proper work. And I'm learning things like by myself because there's nobody else to do it. So I like made a little daughter board for the first time on like KeyCap, which was something. I did my first like CAD sort of little enclosure for 3D printing, which was another thing. So yeah, I guess it's going all right. But it's just been busy. Audio hobby leaking into keyboards. We're doing ported keyboards now, but is it balanced? I don't know too much about audio, not gonna lie. So, but I know that's something that people say a lot. Something about balanced outputs. Okay. So for Alps, so Alps has these little. Okay, well I guess I'll just show you, right? So this is what an Alps stabilizer looks like. Basically, the keycap hooks onto this part over here. So the keycap hooks onto these two portions over here. And this part, these little clips actually go onto the plate. There are little cutouts on the plate that allow for Alps stabilizers to mount. They look like this, like they're little clips. They're kind of like Co-Star, yeah. So it's a plate mount system, essentially, and you basically clip those on. The wire clips onto that, and then it kind of swivels, right? So it's basically like very similar to Co-Star, right? So the idea is you take off these clips. They can be a little brittle depending on where like when you got them and stuff, and sometimes the age of the boards. But so ideally you want to keep your. So the thing about Alps is these wires might be somewhat standard shape, but there's some longer ones, like this is for the right shift, obviously. This is for the space bar. And so they can be a little bit non-standard in many other cases. And so ideally what you want to do is you want to keep the stabilizers together with the keycaps that they come with, because and so that's why, like, in the Alps world, sorry, like, harvesting is, like, you know, you need to do it with some precaution, and you want to keep parts together. You don't want to lose stuff. There's, like, other little components here, like, for example, there's this little plunger, and this plunger is part of your spacebar key. It kind of acts as another part of the stabilizing process. So that's kind of the gist of what Alps builds are like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clip all the little black clips here for the stabs, or the wires rather. So I guess that's the first part I'll do. The reason I put on some of the switches is to keep the PCB and the plate apart a little bit. It just helps having that little extra leverage. Is this a personal Blue Alps build? I guess you could say it's like personal. I mean, technically the board is like a review board, but the parts are mine. Like the keycaps and the switches are mine. I'm essentially just kind of like borrowing my own stuff to do an Alps showcase build. What about SP keycaps that are compatible with MX style stabs? So for those, the plate needs to have MX stabilizer cutouts. So you would have, you know, Alps style cutouts for the switches, but for the stabilizer portions, you would have MX style cutouts. So you have to have MX style cutouts, Alps style cutouts for the switches. So yeah, for the MX style cutouts, that's for the stabilizers only. So in those cases, you are restricted to using SP made keycaps that have the MX mount stabilizers for the side stems, and Alps mount for the center of the switch, right? I mean, of the keycap. Topper slider? He kind of does give that vibe, huh? Okay. So since these are just clips that put on, you know, go onto the plate, you don't really need to like lube these. Later you lube a little bit of this, or maybe the wire even, because there is some little bit of play between the wire and the clip. So some people will choose to lube that a little bit, and then you can lube a little bit of the ends of the wires where the keycap gets clipped on, or gets hooked on rather, and then that will also help with stabilizing those, or rather getting rid of some of the rattle that comes from that. But when it comes to like tactile and clickies, in particular for Alps, honestly, like the rattling sound is not as disruptive because the sound of the switch really covers up a lot of it. But I mean, you know, whatever you want to do, obviously will always help. So for the spacebar, you always kind of want to look out for the orientation. So you know, so I want to, for example, see how this is gonna mount. So it really depends. I don't remember what it looked like in the original. So these are SGI Granite keycaps. So, you know, I'm going to just kind of like mock place the wire here and see how this would go. So from what I'm looking at here, it looks like to me that the wire most likely goes on the, actually it might be the bottom side. I'm actually not sure. I think it might be the bottom side, so I think it'll go on the bottom side. So this plate offers both top side, like kind of like north side and south side clips positioning. So Now the plunger's on the left side and the clips go on the south side. So plunger first. So just position your plunger. Let me see, and I think since the top of the switch comes down on this first, right? Okay, so the plunger is spin, goes through, and then my wire clips, I think at the bottom will be good. Where do you get your switches from? I got these on Mech Market a long time ago. It was someone who just happened to harvest them, probably from like one of the popular SKCM blue boards, maybe like an OmniKey 101 or something like that, or a leading edge DC whatever board. Yeah, I don't know actually where they exactly came from. This is usually I try to buy stuff that has a source. They were not specified, and they told me they were in pretty good condition, so I just bought it because it was a good price at the time. But I just bought them on Mech Market for this particular case. This is a long time ago, so I've just had these for a while. Okay. So how has life been, Diego? Any new restaurants? Life's been good. You know, mostly just trying to take it easy, trying to, just trying to not get too stressed out over things. Work has been busy and whatnot. Recently, I went to watch. I watched Project Hail Mary, the movie. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. A big thumbs down for that movie. In case you don't know, that's just like a joke that you get once you watch the movie. But it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. One of my friends who actually read the book was like, it was pretty well adapted. It was pretty good. So yeah, it was enjoyable. What else? TV shows. Like, I still watch anime, so occasionally I'm still like watching through. I'm watching a bunch of different shows. Like I just finished Frieren, season 2. I'm almost done with Oshinoko season 3. I'm watching Natsume Yujin Cho season 4. For non-anime, we watched we finished What We Do in the Shadows, all of the seasons, which was really fun. And we also watched we just finished watching Heated Rivalry as well. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Myth. Hello. Holy Alps, let's fucking go. Yeah. On the NASA stream for Artemis 2, they quoted Project Hail Mary, caught me off guard. Nice. Nice. Of course they would. Bunch of nerds. It's like, why wouldn't they, right? Why wouldn't they quote a popular reference? Right? It's like, yeah. That's cool. That's nice. Oh shit, it's a raid. Hello. Oh. Bowl with the raid. Oh, damn. Big party over here. Hello, raiders. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? Let's see. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, cool. Alps. Yeah. Last week we did Space Invaders. The build stream VOD is on my YouTube channel and on the Twitch, but yeah, we did Space Invaders. I hope that I get it right this time. I always suck at removing these caps because with SI you're supposed to. Oh, there we go. Ha! Space Invaders. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that actually, because otherwise I'll never be able to show it again. Oh, hello. What's up, guys? Long time no see. Hey, 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 hey. How's it going? Yes, I really love holding on for dear life to keycaps. They do. One definite. So SI is different, right? From MX. Like one nice thing about the keycaps, for Space Invaders is that there's basically no rattle or wobble for keycaps. It's really nice. The bad side of Space Invaders is the stabilizers are actually the weak point because the wire essentially gets mounted onto the switch, and it makes direct contact with the plastic of the switch, and so you essentially end up with a very, very easy point for rattle and noise for those. So it's, you know, it can be kind of annoying. See, I'm gonna need my stabilized keys, so I'm just gonna get some of the keycaps out. So my backspace, huh? Numpad, numpad. Somewhere around here. Maybe I'll just dump it out over here. Okay, here. Does this PCB work with DCS Alps keycap style of MX stabs? Oh, I can check. Let me look. Just mount this particular stab key, and I'll double check for you. Oops. Yeah. Have fun with the stream, Diego. Going to get some grub. All right. Title Sana. Have fun and enjoy your meal. Okay. All right. So yeah, it does. So it does have MX stabilizer cutouts, so you can mount your MX stabs. Yeah. So you would just need to have a plate cut for Alps, and then have the stabilizer cutouts to be MX stabilizer compatible. On the Seal80, it doesn't come with an Alps plate. Yeah. So what they're doing with non-MX situations is they're letting people make their own plates. If I recall correctly, like I heard this through the grapevine somewhat. Like I didn't hear it directly from the designer or anything, but what I heard was that they're going to be releasing DXF files, so basically plate files, for some of the common layouts. For a few different switch options that are non-MX. Yeah. So people have, you know, they can take the files and go to a fab and get it made in whatever material they want. So that's what they're doing. I think the reason is probably because there's just too many options out there, to be honest. And so, you know, chances are that's why they're running with it like that. So yeah. Thanks for checking. Of course, of course. I was here when you built the Heine TKL1 PC. Love it. Did I pick one up? Oh, nice. Yeah, it's the TKL1 is a very nice board. I think it's I think out of the like the Jane V2 style, or you know, whatever you want to call it, Jane V2, koala, whale, whatever type plate, especially like for the top mount stuff, it's a pretty sweet board. And the colored PC is really nice. So even the clear one is pretty good. But it's a nice board. That's all I'm trying to say. It's good to see Alps options. Yeah. It's good to see, like, what I like about this Seal80 right now is that it's like kind of leaning onto the classic side for the design, but at the same time it's just offering all kinds of support for, you know, like virtually so many switches that have never had a custom like housing, you know, a custom case, keyboard case offering like this. So it's good to see support for a lot of the stuff that vintage enthusiasts might have maybe raved about for years, and that no one ever got around to doing, you know, kind of diving into the custom world for it. But this will certainly enable people to sort of try it out in non, you know, conventional, in this case would be the OEM form. So pretty cool. Alps definitely has seen a little bit more interest, I would say, over the years. Certainly not like the biggest, but it's always good to see support for non-conventional stuff. You know, relatively non-conventional, I guess. Cherry MX just has such a big, you know, dominance on the market, so. It's cool to see modern custom aesthetics pair that with vintage switches. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a rarity, honestly. Yeah, so it's good. I'd love to see more Alps and Space Invaders specialty cases after this, because I think those switches would sound nicer in roomier cases. I do agree with that, yes. You know which, there was a, I guess someone posted a video, I think, at some point. It might have been Snay or somebody else, but, I remember someone, I think, in Singapore or somewhere in Asia, or maybe it was in China, maybe it was manufactured in China, but someone in Singapore bought it through, like, Shenyu or something like that. But I remember someone made a cool leading edge, I think DC 3014 or something like that, or similar case, basically like a replica, but it was made of polycarbonate, and you know, it had some like more modern elements to it, and essentially it was kind of like a replica case, but in just a different form, like, you know, slightly different form, and it sounded really nice. I remember seeing that at some point. But yeah, I would love to see more designs that are actually custom tailored for Alps and Space Invaders and things like that to shine, rather than having an MX centric with an option of, granted, the issue that comes with making, well, a custom design for an Alps only case or a SI only case, or even both, is that you need to garner enough support for it to like hit MOQ, right, for manufacturing and whatnot. So like, unless it's like a big player in the scene, it's harder to get these things to actually reach, you know, a public market for it, you know, and actually like hit MOQ. So yeah. That thing was sick. That was nice. Yeah, okay, cool. But yeah, yo, Lamb, what's good? Not much, man. I'm swiping again. Swiping on what? What's there to swipe for? Also, why are you swiping again? I thought you said you were poor and all these other things. Terminal swiping. TSS, terminal swiping syndrome. AKA permagas. But on Amaranth 300C? Oh, that's nice. Nice. Do you get it for a good price? Always when it comes to lights, I'm just scared of the price tag, man. Like, I know you can get pretty decent deals like used or from other people, like obviously in the game, who like are letting go of their old gear, or even if it's not old, just like used. But it's always tough. Buying the light will make me more money, bro. Trust me, bro. Okay, Mr. Professional over here. Okay. Well, get that bag, if so. I hope it works out for you. Talking about Alps and SI with boards like this definitely helps raise the profile of vintage switches like that with more modern custom enthusiasts in general. Yes, that's for sure true. Also, I mean, you know, as most things go with adopting new things that you don't know about, it takes a number of like fairly wealthy or just more willing patrons to try something out for the first time and to, you know, kind of sponsor it. And so yeah, that's true. It's important to kind of bring it up, especially with the more hardcore like enthusiast community. It's nice because those people are more willing to support projects like that, right? And so yeah, always good to sort of see that kind of attention. Yeah. Okay. Got it for 300 used. Oh, not bad. Kind of a chicken and egg problem. The more available it is, the more likely MX people will try or are to try. But in order for it to be available, it needs to meet an MOQ, etc. Yeah. It's a conundrum, especially with the stuff that's like vintage, because it's essentially a limited supply. You know, an ever dwindling limited supply is effectively what vintage stuff is, because, well, you know, no one's making it. I mean, maybe one day you'll see an interest in or a passion project that replicates and makes these again, but I don't know, what are the chances that we kind of get there? Right? It's a lot tougher. But I mean, it'll be nice. It'll be good. Think it might be easier for me to mount the wire into this thing and then clip it onto the plate like that, because I have to line up this thing here. Okay, I need both hands for this. All right, then kind of mounts down here. Clip one. Clip two. And then my switch. All right, that's good. Wow, DCS Hangul Alps would look great on this board. Oh, that would look good, yeah. Did you guys pick that up? I picked up Hangul Alps. Is the spacebar for this set yellow yet? Yeah, this is very yellow. I mean, this is my SGI Granite set, but as you can see, it's pretty yellow. This is the actual SGI Granite spacebar. It's pretty yellow, as you can see. For Alps reproduction switches, we would need to venture capital type of money to actually get them remade. Yeah, I mean, Modifiers did exist, right? And it is truly underrepresented and underrated for that reason. I mean, it was a big venture, Modifiers. Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they're not great, amazing. They're not original Alps electric, but it's still something. Better than nothing. But again, it's always a fight with vintage stuff. It's you know, the question of, do you harvest? What do you do? You know, what do you do? It's nice when people have those NOS like hauls, right? Like they found like hundreds of modules that are basically in new condition, or they found like you know, whatever it is, like a big find or like a big haul where people can source at least switches, or like, you know, you don't feel so bad at least getting stuff from that. I do have a batch of, I think, SKCL yellows, I think yellows is right. That is essentially from one of those like big haul sort of inventory, and you know, it was pretty cheap and easier to source. And so, and you know, I don't feel bad that like I'm gonna be essentially destroying a rare board or something like that, right? Like that's never nice, I think. I know there's people out there who really love doing that. For them, the thrill of the hunt is to get that rare board. But I think it hurts me, to me at least, this is just my own perspective, when they get that and the next thing they do is harvest it, right? Like that's like, oh, like, I mean, well, as long as they don't throw away all the parts and stuff, you know, I think that would be the most redeeming thing. It's like, just don't throw away all the rest. Like, you know, don't treat it like a carcass, right? It's not just that, right? There are some people who will, like, you know, maybe like borrow the keycaps for a little bit, or like mix and match and do a cool project with it. Okay, that's kind of fun. But I've seen some like, you know, good stuff out there that you know, has gone harvested, and then, you know, they like pieced apart the rest, and I was like, what do you mean you pieced apart the rest? Especially if you had it in like relative good shape, and it's like, what? Like, don't just throw it to the garbage, or like, don't treat it like garbage. It's a you know, kind of like a cool prized possession from the past, and you know, it just feels a little sad. The Taobao yellows. That listing has been dead for years. Yeah. I don't remember if I got it from Taobao specifically, but I got them from... Oh, I mean, I imagine I got them from someone who got them from Taobao. That's probably what happened. The stab keys with Alps drive me crazy. They're finicky. Just like everything with these bent wires go, because it's so dependent on the wires as well. Actually, wires mainly. It's a struggle. I skipped DCS Hangul because I found a board with AE double shots for relatively cheap. Fair enough. Fair enough. The thrill comes from scraping paraffin wax into boiling water. good old wax boil. Pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Like, you know, that someone was able to kind of come up with that as a way to restore these switches is actually amazing. And the fact that I think the relieving thing is that the plastic's actually able to sustain the heat and recover. I think it would have sucked if that kind of method didn't exist, right? Don't mind if someone harvests an AK2 or Dell AT101, but harvesting stuff like Zeniths and leading edge boards is lame. Yeah, right. Have you ever used a Keymax Alps endgame for real? I have not, actually. I have not. Harvesting is only okay if the board is beyond saving. That's a good point, yeah. Like, I think giving it a better life, so to speak, whether that's from restoration efforts, or you tried restoration and it didn't pan out, and now you're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna just leave this to the side and I'm gonna do something about it. That's a good way to go about, I think, like an old board that, you know, you give it a second life from doing that, right? I found a salmon AT101 to harvest for my Seal80. It was full of mouse poop. Ugh. Gross. Also, I hope you don't get, like, sick or something. Just, you know, be careful. Wear gloves. Wear a mask. Clean that off. Goodness. Because that sounds nasty. Keymax boards are cool, but insanely expensive. Expensive is right, yeah, they are. They are spendy boys. Oh, Kiwi. Do you guys hear that? I'm not sure if you heard it. I want a set of those Keymax caps. They're so nice. Oh, they are. They do look really nice. Oh, Kiwi. He's feeling baggy. Hi, Diego. Alps builds? Okay. Okay. Yeah, Alps. Last time we did Space Invaders. Today we do some Alps. Even MX polyurethane caps with slab. They're literal solid chunks of plastic, kind of like FLS caps. Yeah, it's ow. Hey. Hey. Threw this churro at me. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. Let's bring Kiwi over. Kiwi wants to have some churro. So Kiwi gets some churro time, guys. So we will interrupt our regularly scheduled programming for a special guest entrance. Give me 1 sec. I need to clear this off with shit. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, friends, and welcome, Kiwi. Hello. I don't know any makers who do Alps stuff. Maison of the West does Alps. Who else does Alps? Rubber Hose does Alps. Rubber Hose does some Alps. Oh, hi. Oh, you wanna? Okay, fine. Okay, sorry about that. Someone just had to walk past. All right, Kiwi. Okay, have some first. Good boy. Actually, do you want to face this way? Is it better if you do? I don't know if you'll like this. Yeah. Okay, good boy. Actually, let me see if I. It's a little. Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Would this work? Okay, it's a little messy, but at least you'll get to see him eat it. Good boy. Okay, Kiwi. High five. High five. High five. Look at that. Good boy. High five. Good boy. Shake, shake. Good boy. Shake, shake. Good boy. Look at him being so good. Oh, what's up? Something freak you out? Here you go. Are you having this? You're so distracted. Yum 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 yum. You guys want to see him do something cool? Wait, that's not the right way. Up, up, come on, Kiwi, get it, get it. He also does this. Oh, oh, good. Oh, he's holding onto my arm. Oh, good boy. Let me squeeze some of it out for you. Yeah, all right. All right, go down. Oh my gosh, Kiwi, you're so desperate. He knows tricks? Yeah. He only knows like 3, but he does. Yeah. Good. Okay. You're almost done with it. Okay, that's it. Good boy. Good boy. Yum 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 yum. Yum 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 yum. Now he's leaving. He's done. He's immediately leaving. That's how he is. He's like, I'm done. Okay, bye. It's like, oh, all right, done with work. Oh God. Got his paycheck, so leaving. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna wash my hands real quick. Alright, I'm back. Alright, so we're back to our not special programming. I was putting the rest of these switches, and then we were gonna solder, right? So let's do that. Cats are far more trainable than a lot of folks give them credit. This is true, actually. They are, I would say, even more than dogs, maybe. They're very strong creatures of habit. So they definitely will learn pretty quickly. At least for Kiwi, like, I think he does seem to like reflect that a lot. So it's been nice. Oh, the switches, the pins are kind of bent. Just gonna not bother. It's not going in readily. What do you think of the recent popularity of Topre and Alps getting more documentations on modern MX boards to Alps Topre conversions? I mean, I personally think it's a good thing, right? Like, one thing for sure, I think Topre in particular, like the EC in particular, that scene exploding has been generally, I would say, has been a great thing for that particular sector of the hobby, because it spawned a lot of like new developments. Oh yeah, one sec. Oh sorry, like new developments in like new creations, right? Like Metakeeps and Dynacap and all of these things. Give me one sec. I'm just being asked for a favor. Alright, this, huh? What? Oh, nice. Oh. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. But I think for Alps, we're not quite there yet. Right, like for Topre, we have had a lot of new third-party stuff, and that's honestly been really amazing in my opinion to see. Would love to see more of that, like in the Alps space, obviously, but it's very difficult too. Like, I mean, it will require someone to really step in and be like, hey, I'm gonna reverse engineer this, reverse engineer that. I'm gonna create, you know, replica switches. I'm gonna create, you know, things like that, right? Like, we're not quite there yet for that, so but I think overall it's a good thing. I mean, there are negative aspects to it too, like there came a time when Topre never felt like it was so expensive. Like, people wanting that rare high pro thing, people wanting like some you know, old HHKB, right? Whatever it might be, like those prices like got crazy for a time, and this was like kind of like past the idea of like, oh, it's just a pandemic, it's just a COVID effect, right? Like past that, like we had some real explosions on there, that at a time, like at a certain point in time, it felt very like unsustainable and kind of just very excessive. But I think that has stabilized more as time has gone by with just having more access, and so I'm happy to see it, personally. So yeah. Looks like I'm just missing 2 more switches. Alright, I think this should sound pretty good. Very nice. I would like to see more keyboards support more vintage switch options. SNKs and SIs need more love. I mean, yeah, 100%. I mean, that'll be amazing. It's just It's just like I think there needs to be also a little bit more, like, as this starts becoming more regular, like, I think there will need to be resources that are easily accessible. So like, I think the idea of something being immediately searchable, right? Like if you hit a quick search on Google, it pops up right away, like a reliable resource at the very top. Like that kind of stuff would help a lot, right? And so it will be important for like people who are enthusiasts who want this kind of change to happen to sort of like keep up like a, you know, like a good database, good community and that kind of stuff, right? I think that'll help a lot with the spread of that information. And I think Topre has now been, you know, like it's been around for a long time too, but there's also been like a growing community around it, and I definitely think that there's a bit of that like overlap between non-just mechanical keyboard people, but also people who are already like really into the hype of Topre, I guess, who kind of helped that grow too. So in the vintage scene, I think there is still a bit of a disconnect in between like the vintage scene people and the vintage community and just kind of like the general community, right? And by disconnect, I don't mean it necessarily in a negative way. It's more so like there still is a little bit of like, oh, the Cherry MX people and oh, vintage people, like, you know, there's a bit of that kind of degree of separation. But it's been good to see people sort of like who have an active profile across different sectors of the community be like, actually it's not that bad, it's pretty cool and you should check it out, and this is an active resource for it, and here's a knowledge base. Yeah, I for one am like very enthusiastic about it, but and I know there's like some other folks like maybe like Bassett or MC Max, MC, right, or like Vin Keys, right? Like there's a bunch of people out there who are very enthusiastic about stuff like that, and it's good to see like that kind of intersectionality, I suppose, of a community. So as long as the community kind of keeps doing that, I think it'll organically, you know, grow, and more options like that will pop up, and people will talk more about it. They'll be like, oh, you know, I kind of want to see more options that are just beyond Cherry MX. We need another pandemic will blow up the niches. Actually, it might not, right? It might have the opposite effect because it's a niche, and because, as I said, it's a dwindling supply, and it creates that problem. But then things like a pandemic would obviously like put a big strain on things as well. But rather than a pandemic, something, yeah, some kind of rekindled interest in all this like old tech kind of stuff is always good. But yeah. All right. Okay. I'm gonna just put this fan on, so it's gonna be a little annoying and loud, but just doing it for this. So it starts soldering. SIs are super common and cheap, so they have potential. This is true. This is very true. SI does have potential in that kind of explosion, because there is, well, you know, there is at least a decent supply for it. I think if, yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to get that in the eyes of people who might not know about it, who can like really spread a word. Yeah, I don't know whose hands you need to get it to like kind of enable that kind of explosion to happen, but maybe like a celebrity. I don't know. Maybe the commodification of it would turn the current enthusiasts away, though, so that could be deleterious for that purpose. Do you see that Gateron is looking at making buckling spring switches? I saw like someone posted like a forum kind of thing, but I wasn't sure if it was like a real, like it didn't sound like it was like an official Gateron like announcement and or effort. It was more like an enthusiast being like, if I can pitch enough signatures, kind of like a, almost like a, one of those like change.org signature petitions, right? Like where it's like, if I get enough signatures on this, maybe I can convince Gateron to make this with my advice or counsel or whatever. But it didn't really sound like it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this buckling spring, you know, look alike, or you know, whatever. Oh shit, Raiders, hello Marcia, thank you for the raid. How you're, what are you up to? Were you doing a keyboard build, or were you playing games today? Talking to really big vendors? Yeah, I don't know. It would be cool to see some like big mainstream people get involved for in something, you know, at least in something that's not Cherry MX adjacent and more like vintage Switch or like that side of the community focused. Who would you have to convince though? I don't know. It was just a guy making an IC who emailed Gateron. The mold costs were like 100. Yeah, so that's, yeah, that's not realistic then. Fujitsu leaf springs should get some custom support because although they are not uncommon, many of the boards that they came in are a pain to get working on a modern computer. Yeah, there's a lot of old tech that's like this now, unfortunately. Especially as we start losing access to like software and or even operating systems, or like computing things that just, you know, or like even like input methodologies that just are too archaic or not documented enough to make work. Yeah, I think it's a shame to see like some cool engineering get lost at time. But yeah. I've kind of lost faith in the larger community. All we see are remakes and reruns. People yearn for the past. Maybe not in the way that you seek it right now, but yeah, I think nostalgia and all that kind of fuels the whole rerun idea. But for like quote-unquote original ideas, it takes a village to push that through, but honestly it's difficult, man. Like I don't even know. I don't know. It's tough to say what would really like push that to like the limelight. We were being cowboys on Red Dead. Whoa, yeehaw, yippee. That sounds fun. How's that coming along? Is this RDR2? I've never played it, but I know it's fun. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 lately. We recently got to Act 3. Which has been real fun. Baldur's Gate. Yes, pretty slowly, TVH. I'm very much a distracted player. Oh, that's fair. We're kind of the opposite in the sense that we like play one or two games kind of fully and only those two games. So like we don't hop between games a lot. But like it'll take us a long time to finish a game. Because like I am more of a bit of a completionist. Like I'm like like there's this part of the map that's still dark, we should explore it. We should do all the side quests before pushing the main quest. We should explore all the options for blah blah blah. But yeah, But we don't tend to like hop between games a lot. I feel like for like right now it's mostly like for me, I think I would say it's Baldur's Gate and Overwatch, and that's it. And I honestly don't have time for anything else as much. We don't have a Switch 2, so for all of our friends who have a Switch 2 and picked up Pokopia, like that's not an option because we don't really plan on picking up a Switch 2, at least for now. So yeah. RDR2 so beautiful. I'd be stuck looking at the views, barely 40% finished with story. This is truly what gets me with all the open world mechanic games, is that I side quest so fucking much. Yeah. This is the same way I feel about Breath of the Wild. I actually never finished that game. I was collecting Koroks or whatever, and doing a lot of other random shit that I never actually finished the main story. And then so I was like, oh, I never finished Breath of the Wild, so I'm not gonna be doing this DLC or get Tears of the Kingdom yet. And so I never got around to it, and now I'm kind of like permanent stuck behind not doing it. And then I guess eventually I dropped it because I never got back to it. But happens with the open world stuff. Switch too expensive? Yeah. I heard that they also raised prices for like the PlayStation, right? Was it the PS5? Or whatever it was. But the PlayStations went up in price. I wonder if they're basically doing that with the Switch too. I actually haven't really kept track, but consoles are so expensive now. Like, it's just like the way I feel about phones. Like, they're so expensive. Laptops, phones, game consoles, like being close to the, 1K, whatever, like, essentially like a full desktop build kind of price. I'm like, why is it so pricey? Like, it's just for fun. Can it be more accessible in price? Like, where are my well under, I don't know, $500 or whatever, or maybe like even less, like $300 stuff. Like that era is kind of gone. I got a Steam Deck, so I'm covered. Oh, yeah. Steam Deck would be nice too. Yeah. I actually we don't have any like any of like the handhelds for like that came up in the recent years. Just like I got an analog pocket and I never really used it because I mean, well, there was a time I played a lot of emulated games, but then I guess I got tired of handheld for a while. Just wanted to play something on a bigger screen or like couch co-op, just like more comfortable. So I never went back to handheld as much. Just like kind of how I never actually play my Switch handheld as much, like on its own screen. So always just kind of plug it onto dock it onto a TV. Because that's just kind of how I found out that I actually don't play as much handheld as I used to. I used to play a lot of it, like when I would say like my 3DS has like thousands of hours on it. Same with like like other older consoles like Game Boy, PSP, things like that. But I feel like I just don't have that time anymore. Or maybe I don't know, maybe I just lost that spark. Insty, hi. Android handhelds are getting pretty good for PC emulation. Emulation in general has gotten really damn good, right? Like that's all I hear about these days, which is pretty awesome. But yeah. You should check out the AIM Thor. It's so lit. No idea what it is actually. What is that? AIM Thor. Oh. Damn, that looks cool. That's pretty cute. Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, nowadays these like third-party things are like amazing. You can get a dock for the Analog Pocket. Yeah, I know. I actually do have one. I just never got around to like, you know, playing as much of it, I guess. Also, I don't have like, well, I guess I would just emulate, but I also like, yeah, for the people who do like physical gaming, I don't have much physical game stuff now. I have a pretty decent collection of 3DS games, 3DS games. But like other than that, like, and then some Switch stuff. But like, yeah, I think, I guess after I moved to, so I, you know, grew up in Mexico and then I moved to the States and got rid of a lot of my like old stuff. Like I don't have any of my like N64, GameCube, or like Wii, that kind of stuff, right? Like back then. PlayStation 2, I had a lot of PlayStation 2 games. But yeah, I had to get rid of a lot of that. Or I don't know what happened to it, honestly. Maybe my parents gifted it to someone, like another kid or something, because they're like, oh, he's not using it, so they can have it. Yeah, I think they got passed down to somebody. It just happens. But I mean, as long as they enjoyed it, I think I'm happy with it. But yeah, moved on from it, so I really don't own as much physical media, just in general. Like, I feel like the last remnants of my big physical media phase is if I go into like my hard drive and look into, I guess that now it's digital, but it was like I have like pretty faithful rips of like discographies of a lot of music, but that was like kind of like the remnant of that. So yeah, that's as far as I get with it. All right. And I guess my physical media now is like keyboards are my physical media. So that's about it. Is that boring? All right, let's get this opened up and mount it. I don't do vinyl either, so I feel like that's a rabbit hole that I'm not like as I love music. Don't get me wrong. But that's like a rabbit hole I would not get into because I know how it can get, because it's limiting. Vinyl, it's like very limiting that you, I mean, it's just like CDs or like albums in general, right? Like you're limited to that particular record, and if you like a lot of different music, then you want to get different, you know, records, and then it's kind of a crazy rabbit hole there. So it's like you can't really, there's no such thing as a small vinyl collection, I feel. So I decided for sure, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not engaging in that at all. I'm not even touching it because I know it's just a rabbit hole. I got a CD drive to burn CDs again. Oh, hell yeah. Oh man, CD drives. Yeah, I mean, I remember the time, like those years in like, I guess, when was it? When did they start really phasing out CD drives on like computers? Like mid 2010s maybe? Early 2010s? I don't know. It was like, I remember it was like maybe like high school. Actually no, even earlier than that. It's like 2000s really, late 2000s maybe. They really started phasing CD drives, right? Like on PCs. And you had to get like the external one, right? And it kind of pissed me off so much. I was like, what? Why? Still the exact same. Windows Media Player still has the same interface. Windows Media Player. Damn. Classic. I just recently got into Sony mini disc for music. I'm obsessed. Oh. They're the ones behind those silo beam spring switches from Impa Club 10 years ago. Oh wow, that's throwback. Oh, I think that the modded console scene is pretty cool. The modded portables, like the modded Game Boy scene and that kind of stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I used to be in the homebrew PSP scene for a while. Like the whole like getting a certain disc for the kernel to match the version or whatever, and so that you can like actually do the firmware downgrade and basically like homebrew the like install the homebrew firmware for the PSP, like the original PSP. I was in that scene for a while. Yeah, that was a fun time too. Now I'm sure now it's like pretty crazy and so easy now, so accessible. But yeah, that was kind of like my OG portable phase, like for at least for like custom stuff. Before digital, we would have to record mini disc in real time. It was a pain. Yeah. PS Vita, you just go on the internal browser and go to a website, 2 clicks and you're jailbroken. Yeah, I know. I'm sure it's that easy now. I mean, it was maybe like a couple years ago. I think I finally, you know, like hacked my 3DS because it wasn't. I just like had my physical games that I enjoyed, so I like was stayed on those. But then, and then you know I was like looking at the 3DS hacks thing, and it was so easy. So easy now. Literally like 2 clicks, or like just open this and just hit run and it just does it all for you. So nice, so convenient now. I love that scene kind of has, you know, it's just big. And there's so many like third-party things now too. I heard we were doing Alps today. Yeah, we are. I did SKCM Blues today. We're hoping that these sound nicer than the SIs that we did. I mean, considering the FR4 plate, but I think they will because these. So what's nice about Blues is that they have a nice thick click, I would say. I mean, well, thick like is mostly due to the housing and the structure of the switch of like Alps in general, but I really do like them. I love them. Love me some Blue Alps. Blue Alps or Peak? Yeah, they're truly such nice clicky switches. Like they're so good. All right. Time to put some keycaps on now. All right, let's see. So SGI Granites for today. SGI Granite Keycaps rather. I do have a Dell AT101 as well, like the keycaps from it, but it's on a different board, so I just got kind of lazy and I was like, oh, actually, I haven't put the granites on anything in a while, so I was like, why not? Need to get some good blues for my Seal build. I think this will sound pretty good even with FR4. I hope so. I love the thick font that the Granite caps have. It's so nice. Well, I mean, it's like these numbers are like thick. This till is so funny. NTR80s go quite well with Alps. Oh yeah, the cherry lookalike case, right? Yeah, that should be a nice case for Alps because it's plastic and has that like extra hollowness to it. And I'm sure now it's like don't they have haven't people like also been able to like outfit all kinds of like other, like, you know, it's not just like you don't have to use a plate, I think, right? And like, I mean, I guess for Alps you always have to, but like I think you can build them in like many different ways, basically what I'm trying to say. But yeah, nice cases. Cheap, which is good. So at least accessible. Always a good thing. Still waiting for the F1 FE injection mold F18X. Ooh, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty cool. Cool project. All right. I don't want to have people tell me, oh, this would not be a lighting stream if there is no artisans. So I do have one artisan. I only have so many whatchamacallit, Alps artisans. I actually have like 2 maybe. So I have this old Keyforge Snick that goes pretty well because it has some gray on it. So I'm just gonna use this one. The very rare Alps artisan that I have. I have a Booper Blank that works as well, but I think that's on my other Alps build. So. F1 FE is a CIA PSYOP. Kiko, ¿cómo estás, compa mi hombre? All right. There are Alps compatible artisans. There are very few, but there are. This is an old one. Keyforge made like 2. Like, I mean, you know, not many. And then nowadays there are a few people who do though. Rubber Hose makes Alps occasionally. Maison of the West makes Alps as well as buckling spring occasionally. Obviously there's a lot of toper makers out there too. Who else has made Alps? Or is actively making, at least. There are a few people venturing into it. Ozzy Keycaps from Brazil. He's also venturing into other things like non-cherry mechs and non-topers like Alps and buckling spring. Trying to remember who else has ventured, like artisan makers who have ventured into making Alps mount stuff. Carolus sells one. Oh, cool. That's nice. Yeah. I feel like Alps artisans could be easily 3D printed. Yeah, given the shape of the stem being pretty simple, that's true. That's actually true. 3D modeled artisans could be an easier venture for Alps for sure, compared to like Cherry MX or other things for sure. Yeah. Okay, let's try typing on this. We're actually finished on a pretty decent time frame for this build. So, all right, let's try it out. So maybe I'll do it on the side cam here for today. So there it is, our Seal80 Let me put the mic over. Okay. And now the music's still on, so let's stop that. Okay. All right. Let's give this a try, shall we? All right, folks. So we got our Alps build for the Seal80. This is an FR4 plate mounted with, it's in top mount, and we have some SKCM blue Alps switches. They're pretty much stock. I haven't really modded them or anything, but they're pretty good condition. They're pretty smooth, and have a nice click. And we have SGI Granite PBT keycaps for the keycaps. All right, let's give it a shot. Sounds pretty good, I would say. I would say this sounds pretty nice. I do think still a different plate material would bring a little bit more out of this. To be very honest with you, I kind of feel like something more rigid, maybe even aluminum, carbon fiber, something a little bit more rigid would really bring out the main characteristic of the Switch a lot more. That said, FR4, here with the clickies, definitely a lot better than, I was told it was described as rattling bones sound that the linear SI had on the FR4 when we did that. But this one actually sounds much fuller, much nicer. But I still think when it comes to these switches like Alps or SI, right? I think like a metal plate probably brings out a lot more of the characteristic, but quite nice, quite nice. Yeah. Or heck, even plateless. That'll be crazy. I mean, assuming you have to line them up, but all right, let's listen to the mods. Pretty nice. One thing now that we are doing an Alps build on this, that I do kind of like, or rather that I wanted to test about the board, that I couldn't really hear it on the linear SI build that we did last time, is that this build does kind of show, like kind of as a proof of principle, I guess, that the case resonance is pretty good. Like it has good resonance to the case, and it doesn't have unpleasant or unwanted resonance, like for example, like on the sides. or like on the space bar, like on the extremes, on the edges of the board. You know, a lot of these boards can have unwanted case resonance, or that just kind of like a little bit off or jarring, like sometimes just kind of like not very balanced essentially, and it doesn't have much of that. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a pretty nice case. You know, I think the consideration of having those plastic pieces that go in between the top and the bottom case is a nice add-on that they put onto the aluminum cases here, to kind of reduce the amount of like metal to metal contact. But at the same time, I think just overall, like, you know, like I was like, oh, it has 6 screws to fasten it and whatnot, so I was a little concerned, but I think it's pretty good. So yeah, I think the acoustics of the case itself is pretty good. That said, you know, if you're trying like a vintage switch, you know, it will take some experimentation with plate materials, with specific build that you're gonna do, keycaps and whatnot, to get it right. But as evidenced by the linear SI build, but I do think, like, you know, like a metal plate for the SI build, or even for the Alps here, would probably be a lot more substantial and a lot nicer sounding. But nonetheless, it still sounds quite nice for this. It's a nice sounding spacebar. Yeah. So yeah, no, pretty good. I actually really like how this sounds and feels. The FR4 feels pretty nice, actually. The top mount plate, the plate itself actually feels stiff enough to be called a top mount, but not uncomfortably stiff. That said, you know, FR4 is not like the stiffest material out there, so that's kind of expected. But I do expect some amount of stiffness from like a top mount build, because that's kind of like a preference. But yeah, it does feel pretty good, I would say. Orange Alps would go hard here. Yeah, I think they would go pretty well on here as well. Yeah. How do you feel about buckling spring? I think buckling spring is a fun type of like clicky switch. It's just different. Like, it's not the, like, when people think clicky, like in the Cherry MX space, they think of these like kind of like crisp clicks, but buckling spring has that like echoing, right? Like just like straight up pinging sound, and it's a feature. It's literally a feature of the switch. Literally, the buckling and the spring being there in this like barrel is what causes that. And so, like, it's a polarizing switch in that regard. Like, honestly, not that many people love it, but like, if you like it, that's a feature you embrace. Yeah, I mean, there is like floss mod and whatever, where you basically put a piece of like thick floss, like the super floss, which is like the more like cotton ball like floss, and you basically put it inside of the spring to reduce, to essentially eliminate the pinging. But that kind of kills the personality of the buckling spring switch. So I think as a switch, it's pretty cool. And you just have to appreciate that specific feature of it. If you don't, that's fine. You just have an association with what the clicky switch should be for you, and that's maybe just not your cup of tea. Model F is the best board to type on if you're deaf. Membrane buckling springs is a hell no, though. That's true. I think, you know, like, people do say like bolt mod is a must, or like whatever, screw mod, bolt mod, and whatnot. But yeah, I need to try oranges. My personal opinion, oranges, SKCM orange, best tactile Alp switch. My opinion. I think they're common, but some like nice clean ones, or even if you like have to like paper mod to remove the clickiness of the you know, of the leaf and whatnot, oranges, like SKCM orange, personally favorite. Weight, the tactility, the just the way they sound great. I think they sound amazing. I think they feel like amazing. I've tried neon greens. I've tried, you know, like, you know, undamped and damped creams and like all these other ones, right? But like, I think and salmons obviously, but I still think oranges are my favorite for tactiles. Browns, they're great, very tactile, very very nice and resistant. But for me, a little too much. Just too much for daily, constant daily use. Okay for a novelty. Okay for a few swaps here and there, like, you know, I want my certain modifier keys to have SKCM brown. It's nice. But a full board with them and then dailying it is too much for me. So my personal favorite is still SKCM orange. Yeah. But yeah, orange Alps, my beloved for tactile Alps, just peak. Really, 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 really good. Yeah. But yeah. All right. So let's take a look at this bad boy with Alps. Really, really nice. I think this build turned out pretty great. Look at that, beauty, beauty. Maybe I will just. This will be our little thumbnail for today's build. Like that. Da-don! I think I'm going with SKCM brown and stainless for my seal. Oh, that's a good choice. That's a solid choice. Alright, I guess let's show off the board, right? So got the chance to try some 2-tap creams recently. I was not impressed. Ah, okay. Prefer the feel of quiet clicks, but the sound of cream damps. I can understand that preference. Browns are probably the deepest sounding Alps switch. I think it's because they have that characteristic like thunk, 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 like that, like because it's so tactile, right? And it's just like so top heavy, essentially. So yeah, it's just the way these housings are shaped and whatnot. But yeah, browns are pretty nice, but yeah, just not for me for daily use. That's all. Yeah. I don't know. Are they expensive still? SKCM browns? But yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they are then. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they only come in so many boards, right? So I think that just automatically makes them pricey, and there's desirability around them, so yeah. Still pretty expensive, especially compared to salmon and orange. Okay. I'm glad like switches like blues are, you know, they've fluctuated, but I would say overall they haven't like hiked up crazily, which is nice. I mean, definitely not as common as actually, yeah, I'm not sure, but I would say salmons or oranges are more common than blues, right? So, and then I guess there's like whites as well, which actually they're kind of nice if they're pretty in good shape. Whites can be pretty good. Definitely prefer blues over whites, but blues can be pleasant in specific cases and builds. How much are browns? $5 to switch sometimes? Yeah, I actually traded a batch of SKCM browns at their peak-ish, quote unquote. But I essentially like traded them for. At the time, I really wanted to see a clean batch of Nixies, like before the Nixies were remade, and so I traded them for some Nixies and some other stuff. Actually, some other Alps stuff. Got a pretty good deal out of it because I wasn't using them anymore. That person really loved them, so that was good. And those Nixies I actually ended up using on a board, which I still have. So win-win, I guess. And they were like pre-harvested browns, so I didn't feel like guilty of like having harvested something or like anything like that. They're already loose, so that was good. But yeah. Price for Alps really depends on whether you're willing to desolder or not. That's true. That is true, actually. Whites are really close to blues and you can get them for much cheaper. Yeah. I love the VKC. Is that a Vietnamese keyword club, right? No one here cares about Alps except me. Yeah, isn't Vietnamese keyword community a lot about like they really are kind of like they love Cherry MX stuff, obviously, but then like I've heard a lot about like, oh, build like the Korean masters and that kind of stuff. Am I imagining it? But I've definitely heard this kind of. It almost sounds like a meme to me, but I'm pretty sure I've heard it. Like builders, like dedicated builders, and they're like, oh, build like the Korean masters of yesteryear. True and real. Oh, okay, so it is true. I should just move to Vietnam and have my keyboard workshop. They'll call me out though. They'll call me out for being a fraud. They'll be like, this guy can't even build for shit. His stabs are not balanced wires. I don't even balance wires. Alright. We should probably wrap it up here. This build was quite nice. I'm pretty satisfied with it. It should be a good sort of test, I guess, for other builds that people do with Alps, and hopefully for those who pick up the board and decide to outfit it with Alps, SI, and whatnot, you know, I hope you guys get some nice metal plates for it, or actually plastic plates might work too pretty well, because the plate doesn't feel that stiff, so I think plastic plates could work for this particular board. So yeah, it's a nice board, honestly. I really like the design language. It's simple, it's clean. The fact that it just works with so many things is so nice. And I think a lot of people will like this board for the people who do pick it up. I think it's a really nice offering out there. At least in the world of TKLs where there's so many of them, it's a good pickup, I think. Yeah. Do you straighten your space bars for max balance? Right. They build like me? Yeah, I mean, I wonder why, bro. Alright. I'm getting two and neither of them are getting Alps. I'm going SMK. Oh, SMK clickies are so nice. I've always wanted to build with some Monterey Blues. I never got around to it, but love those. They're so nice. Astro will call that racist. Fair. The VKC Mafia boss. I already have Alps bills, need funnier clickies. That's totally fair. I mean, that's a good take, honestly. So, I mean, I think this will basically wrap up, for the most part, my builds on the Seal. I mean, I might desolder this and do a build with the clicky SIs that Max gave me. But I'll probably record and take photos of this board pretty soon to post. But hopefully these were enjoyable for people to watch. I know they're, you know, obviously like not as popular, and you know, I think they're very cool though. SI and Alps. And yeah. But let's wrap it up here. Scroll up please, I want to see your perspective. Oh, what's up? Hey Diego, how far are you in your academics? I have a PhD. I went to grad school. I did a PhD. I finished. I defended a couple of years ago, and I'm working. Yeah, I'm in the grad program right now for my master's, and just seeing what kind of perspectives I can glean about researching for a thesis. Or off topic. So, master's, if you're going for STEM, it's very dependent on the institution. There are many programs out there who just give you a master's for taking courses, so no thesis required. If you're going for a STEM master's, like like an MA, MS, then there are research universities. A lot of them will require some kind of thesis or some kind of final project. But master's programs in general are compact enough that honestly you don't have that much time to spend on a very expansive thesis project. So you'll, by the end of it, I think you will feel that you kind of didn't go in depth enough, and the PhD is exact opposite of that. The PhD is, I mean, you become an expert on a subject. Like, you have to know your fundamentals. You have to expand on the fundamentals and that specific topic that you choose to do your dissertation on in complete depth. That's a PhD. You really truly become an expert in this one, like, needle in a haystack type of topic thing, like this one very specific thing. So completely opposite, spending years versus spending 1.5 to 2 years, which is what most master's programs are. So yeah, I would say, like, for the people who are more gung-ho about having a nice master's thesis, they will start some of the research work, in the summer, or like at the term prior, to kind of get started on topics and like research materials, like sources. So yeah, I'm a poli-sci and music, punk rock. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, I think my take is, like, master's programs in general will be, the amount of depth that you cover is variable by the institution. I think some institutions, just like some schools, just overload you so much on the classes, on the credits, because schools make so much money from master's programs, okay? Aside from undergrads are obviously at bulk, but in the biggest research universities, especially in the United States, master's, grad programs form the bulk of the student body, and they are research universities because of that, stronghold that they keep on that. And so they'll, value that you take a lot of credits, right? Obviously, because you're paying per credit. And some schools will, like, I went to, I mean, I can say, but I went to like a, pretty top ranked, I guess, school for grad, and they're, like, I would say, like, it's mostly classes. They mostly all do classes for masters, and it's so much busy work for those classes too. And so I always felt like a lot of people who do thesis in the school I went to, especially, like, it was like 50-50 whether it was in depth enough or not. So it was very variable. I would say a lot of people did feel like they just didn't cover that topic in depth enough, but they still need to graduate, so they just have to complete something on time. And their advisors will just be like, yeah, this is good enough. If you want to expand on it, you can expand on it on your professional career. And the goal of a thesis is not for you to be the expert on that topic right there and then. It's for you to get a grasp on how to do that. It's a methodology that you really learn. It's the way to ask questions, and it's the way to answer those questions in a methodical way that makes a master's or PhD program valuable. So yeah, it's not so much what knowledge you gain, it's more so how you answer those questions and how you learn the methodology to gain that knowledge. And so that's the value of grad programs, I would say. Yeah. So don't worry too much about what topic you pick. Don't worry too much about so, like, if you have an advisor and there's pushback about the topic, don't get too enamored over the topic, because pushback is somewhat expected, actually. Like, advisors are kind of trained to push back on things to kind of like push your creative juices to flow, to really get something a little bit deeper, a little bit extra in there. But they will always act, I mean, hopefully, ideally, they act in your best interest to help you graduate. So but they don't want you to become too attached to that one thing, because what you're really learning is the way of doing it, not what that is. Yeah. And that's kind of like I would say, like, a trick of going into, like, a PhD program. Is like, it's very important to be focused, but you need to know that you're not becoming the world's expert on that one thing right there. You're just gonna become an expert, but not the expert. But the crucial thing is how you do it, and can you prove to someone that you have critical thinking process and that you have the ability to answer questions on the spot, and that you can give intelligent answers, and then you can say that you don't know something when you don't know, and how you can move around challenges like that. Or like, because it's a pursuit of knowledge, so you'll always have pauses and breaks in between, and someone will always call out a flaw in your thought process, and you need to know how to answer the question of, oh, thank you for pointing out my flaw. The way I would approach this question, if this were, like posited in this way, and these were the scenarios and these were the conditions, I would do this. And you need to be able to answer that and like kind of give a roadmap of what your thought process is. And that's what, like a dissertation defense will entail. It's essentially you being able to answer those questions. So yeah. All right. Hopefully that answers your question about grad school. Grad school is worth it if you like learning, and if you are seeking for a little extra depth from the material. I would say like undergrad is just a jack of all trades kind of situation, and you just cover the basics. Yeah. No worries. It's all good. I'm good on time right now, so I did finish this build earlier than I anticipated, so it's all good. Okay. All right. So let's see who building, who doing stuff tonight. I eventually want to work towards a PhD, but certainly a daunting task. Yeah, for sure. I mean, PhDs are definitely very like advisor dependent and just like environment dependent. It can be an isolating experience, but developing that professional relationship with an advisor and like kind of navigating that is a whole process. It's not nearly as daunting as the stories make it sound, but it is very true that meeting a bad person in terms of advising or just peers like can really influence what you get out of it. So that's why it can be pretty isolating and very, very daunting. So, but it's mostly a self-discovery thing. So I would say, if you really feel passionate about learning and kind of like figuring out things, then a PhD can be worth your while. But it is a big commitment. And in the current like market situation, it's a difficult choice to make, I would say. But I know people who do, for their own personal reasons, and it needs to be a personal reason, I would say. Yeah. Any writing tips for someone that isn't the best writer? Talk to people, as many people as you can, and have them read your writing. That's the best way to become a better writer. Because as much as you can practice writing for yourself, like writing to yourself a lot, no one is a better critic than somebody else. Somebody who doesn't know anything about your writing is the ideal person to show them their writing. You need to show as many people as you can what you wrote and ask them, does it make sense? What's wrong with it? Can you tell me? Can you point out what's wrong with it? And what would you do differently? And you just have to take that in stride and be like, okay, you're gonna gather conflicting information, whether like about your writing, and then you'll have to like piece together what works best for you. It still needs to feel like you. So to become a good writer, it does require a little bit of like self-esteem too, because some people can be pretty harsh, but definitely courage to ask the people out there to take a look at it. But yeah, I think I sucked at writing too. I think writer's block for me was a bigger problem, but getting a critic for my writing is it's always a process. You just have to ask, kind of get them subscribed to the idea of like them reading your writing and being like, yeah, I'm down to take a look. Yeah. Having objective viewpoints on your writing that isn't you. Yeah, exactly that. So I missed a sound test. I have to go, but the sound test is in the stream. So all right, let's go raid Mr. God's how do you spell that? Double SSON designs. All right, folks, wrapping up here. Thank you again for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope you found the advice useful for my fellow grad students and or maybe just students out there who are trudging through the path of academics. I wish you the best. It's not that bad out there, and school isn't. I would say it's not that bad if you kind of figure out that isn't the end of the world to get a back grade or have a harsh critic. So, all the encouragement for you. Okay? All right. I'll see you all later. And have a good rest of your week. I'll probably see you later this weekend. I think to build the Gray Studio Infinite 70 that's coming up on Unikeys later this month. But yeah. I'll catch you later for that, okay? Bye-bye. Bye.